You guys ready? Well, welcome back to Footballin with Ben Roethlisberger. My name is Spence, and as always, I am joined here with Mr. Jared Lopes. There he is. Nope, that's Ben. Let's try that again. Hold on.
I told you had too many camera
I know,
snaps,
dude.
and
I
your
know.
buttons were off.
It's week one. It's week one of the NFL.
You know what? This is a lot like most offenses this week.
Welcome back to Football with Ben Roethlisberger. My name is Spence, and I am joined here with Jared Lopes. There he is. And world-renowned youth golf instructor, Ben Roethlisberger. There he is.
I forget which camera's mine. I think it's on over there.
Right. I'll
You've got
say,
a million cameras set up.
I'll say,
a lot of cameras.
I added some things. I did add some things. I mean, you want to cycle through them for the viewers on YouTube? This is Jared's. It's your boy. Oh, what if Ben and Jared wanted to say something? Well, what if all three of us wanted to be involved?
This guy, Spence.
Well, let's really, if we can, just take Ben's opinion on this. All right. Well, what if Ben and Spence have something to say? All right. It's really a beautiful thing that we got going on here until you have to be the one doing it while you're trying to hold a conversation about a topic in which you are very limited in your knowledge.
Bro, you've grown a lot.
Thank you. I went
back and watched like first episode or two. It looked like you're recording on a Nokia.
Yeah, bro. It was the brick, the phone from the early 2000s Nokia brick. You had Snake on it. Yeah, that's what I was doing. But here we are. It is episode 2 of season 3, but it is week 1 of the NFL, which is a beautiful week because football has started.
Which we're watching some right now.
Yes, we got the game on. We got a couple games on here, right? So we got what?
Sorry, Mr. Brady. We had to mute you.
Oh yeah, Tom Brady's here. Well, no, he's not here. He's working right now. We had to mute Mr. Brady.
Yeah. But yeah, we're watching the games as always, as we always do down here. We got we've been sitting down here for about 7 hours now.
Not an exaggeration.
Jared's not sure if it's light or like what's
I
going
don't
on
know
out
if
there.
I'm drinking coffee, if I'm eating breakfast. I feel like I'm in a casino.
We're actually filming. This is Sunday night. Night. And because we just watched the game. So we are fresh, ready to talk about the game and all things Steelers.
Yes. So the Steelers week 1. Mm-hmm. Jared, you're new to the Steelers ecosystem. What was your take? Let's get yours first.
First of all, I just want to say when my wife hates this about me, but when if I get into anything, I go all out. Are you guys like that? Like whatever you if I get into a hobby, I've noticed I've passed this down to my son, which it's funny watching him do the things that I do. Like if he'll get into like airsoft and then he's just like, Dad, I need new airsoft gloves and these kind of bullets and this gun and this scope. But anyway, so I came here last week, sat in all the Steeler stuff, and then I just immediately went home and started buying all kinds of Steeler.
Yes.
We did have a call this week, and he was in a Pittsburgh hat.
He was in a Pittsburgh hat. Get some of that rust in your veins, boy.
I got it all, bro. I got the hats.
We're going to get Iron City in them.
Yep.
We're going to get some pierogies.
Some pierogies.
Get some
I have no idea what you're saying.
mayonnaise.
But I do know that I need jackets because it's freezing here.
Sorry, Yenzers. He doesn't. He's.
I don't know how you guys live here. I don't know how you guys live here.
He's not Pittsburgh.
I didn't realize it was winter already.
But he is rooting for us, and he truly was watching the game today, like getting into it. Like,
it was a good day. It was a good day to be a Steeler fan. I will say, I don't want to make the show political. You know, I'm not trying to turn us into a political show, but it is the week of the debate, and if I could, as a brand new Steeler fan, I would write in Boswell as the third candidate for president.
Vote.
That dude
Is he not?
stole the show.
Is he not?
Vote.
Is he not president?
He's right. He's right.
The problem is he can't debate because he doesn't really talk.
Doesn't need to talk.
Doesn't
Talks
need-
with his leg.
Right.
Hey.
Doesn't need to.
Is there anything the man can't do? He scores all our points. He punts. Pay the man some more money. Omar, pay the man some more money.
Can't. I was gonna say something about practice
God,
self-control.
come on, Boz.
Yeah. That was absolutely insane. I mean, Boz is every time he went out, the announcer was like, "Well, he's the best kicker in the league from 50." I'm like, "Man, you can just stop. He's the best. You don't have to add a distance. He's just the best kicker in the league." Boz, thank you
for you, buddy.
I'm still trying to make shirts that just say "Thank God for Boz."
Bro, and I see his veins when he went out there to punt.
Yeah.
It wasn't, he's just like, yeah.
But you know what? See, what y'all don't know and the fans don't know is Boz is a little bit of a goofball. So during practice, and here's the other thing. Again, everyone knows I love the specialists, but they don't do much.
I was going to say, why'd you say it like that? Everyone knows I love the specialists.
They don't do much in practice, okay? They have one day of practice. And then the other times they're over there goofing around. Boz, you know how many times Boz texts me, hey, you want to go golfing? I got the day off today. I'm like, you get the day off every day, Boz. But so my point in saying all this is when they are on the other field goofing around, they're like Boz is punting. He's trying new onside kick. Like they're doing so for him to punt. Like it's not like he's never punted. He's on the other field like trying to kick the ball over the net into the river. We have a river running by our like that's just Boz. I'm gonna try to kick it over the building.
Yeah.
You know, so
he's punted.
He's done it, but I will still give him props because when you get in the action, because there's a lot of people out there, Jerome Bettis, that think that they're quarterbacks and can throw a pass. Okay. But when it gets hot, people get a little nervous.
It's different than kicking over a river.
Boz stood in there because he doesn't have. That's the other thing you'll think about. He doesn't ever catch the ball. He just kicks it.
That's true.
So he's got to catch it. Boz's got great hands. Right. One of the better athletes on the team, but he showed us why he should be president.
It just blew my mind, man.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever told you this, but I was kicker of my football team freshman year. It's my football experience. You said I didn't know anything about football.
Brother, I wouldn't tell people that.
I was a soccer player, but I saw how much the girls liked the football players, especially on game day when they would all wear the jerseys.
No.
Well, see, this is where I'm a freshman.
Talking about the players.
Brain was not fully developed. Brain wasn't fully developed, bro. 15-year-old me, I see the way these girls are looking at these guys on game day with the jersey, and I'm like, I got to get a jersey.
And you thought, I won't be the kicker.
I got to get it. I was a soccer player, but I'm like, I didn't know how to play football, but I'm like, I got to.
That's true for Boz.
Did you make any?
Dude, okay. I'm not going to go into a long story.
Okay.
I promise. But it's, I'm kicking a lot of extra points. End of the season comes.
Like, don't say that like you were making. Were you making them? Were you good?
I kick the extra points,
They hit on the block back then, right? The little block. Yeah, the block. Yep.
Like this.
Yep. Put it down. Set it on top. Yeah.
So making extra points. End of the season. All of a sudden the coach yells, "Lopez, you're in." My last name's Lopes, by the way.
Yeah.
Lopez, you're in. I'm like, what?
Great start.
Because we didn't. I didn't practice.
You.
I didn't practice with the team. Everyone hated me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'm like, I know that's not me. I'm not in because we didn't score a touchdown. And then the coach gets super. He's like, "Lopez, you're in." So I'm like, what the heck? So I put my helmet on. I run in there. I'm like I've never even practiced with the team. So I go into like the little huddle. Quarterback just starts saying random letters, numbers, colors.
What's it called?
States.
Plays.
Cadence.
I'm just like, and then bro, they all clap at the same time and run away. And I'm standing there just
like the late clap.
So I look at the quarterback. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. He's like, "Ball's coming to you." I'm like, what? He's like, "Ball's coming to you." So I line up as wide receiver. They snap the ball, looks over, throws me the ball, and in hindsight, I'm like,
"You catch it,
bro? I wish I would have never caught that ball." Worst day of my life. Wish I would have never caught that ball. Caught the ball, turn around. I'm in kicker pads, bro. Just giant defenders here, and I'm like, I'm not running toward them. My first thought was, I'm going to give the quarterback the ball.
Go back, throw it down.
No, so I run back towards it. Dude, long story short, I lost like 15 yards on the play. I don't know how many yards. My own team was like trying to tackle me because I was running the wrong direction.
The interesting thing about that, though, as we go, is that happens in the NFL too, because we had some guys today that lost 15 yards. I did see that today.
That's what made me remind.
I think... Anyway, sorry. Going off of that story, which I would have loved to see that, by the way. There is a lot that happened this game. Speaking about guys who lose 15 yards, speaking about crazy last-minute switches to the quarterback, talking about we got the revenge game in Atlanta. Arthur Smith goes back. There's a lot of storylines. There's a lot of stuff that happened. We walk out with a W. That's right. I expected nothing less. Ben, let's get your breakdown, because I watched as I'm setting all these things up. You had a little notepad here, and you were taking some pretty detailed notes. So I would love to see or hear what you saw. Highs and lows. What do you got for us?
This right here is the Footballin Playbook. Okay,
And let's get the wide
I'm
so
going to
people
hold it
can
up and
see.
show everybody because it's.
Oh, you're not going to do it.
Well,
Oh, back to
you
tight.
can't. When you have a playbook, you got to be careful.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
There's teams out there. There's teams out there that will try and take your playbook.
You have to forgive me. Unlike you and Jared, I've never played the game.
Right. So.
If you want to practice afterwards, I'd be happy to show you a couple things.
I did. So what I did is we sat down here and watched the game as you were setting everything up. And I just kind of went through as the game was going. And when I saw something, I took a note on it. So I just I figured that I would just start from the beginning and just kind of go through some of this stuff. I have to go back and look at it because some of the stuff I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Why did I say that? So if I say something, we'll just let it go. But so some of these things I think we should dive in on a little deeper.
Yeah.
Some of it we can just kind of be like, oh, I don't know what I was thinking. Let's just move on. But we're going to go through. So we'll start the first quarter and work our way through the game.
Let's do it.
So we can maybe dive into some high level stuff as we get moving. But the very first thing that I noticed coming into this game, I know that there was a lot of unknowns. And the biggest unknown that I found was where was Coach Tomlin's hat?
I'm laughing, but this is a very real question.
Has anybody? I've never seen Coach Tomlin without a hat on the sideline. Has anybody seen his hat? Do we need to start a hashtag? Where's Tomlin's hat?
Where's Tomlin's hat?
If you guys have seen, I feel it needs to be like one of those flat Stanleys.
Oh yeah,
guys!
dog.
If you're out there, I know you guys like to do like your terrible towels are all over the country. If we can find Tomlin's hat, shoot it to us on the socials, whatever. Spence will take care of that. Coach T, I've never seen you without a hat. I'm just concerned to make sure someone didn't take your hat. Okay. Anyway, sorry, but that's serious. That's the first thing I wrote down because as soon as they showed him at the beginning of the game, I'm like, "Where's Coach's hat?" Like that's. Just
is that one of those things where it's like, "Yo, man, like I want you to see my eyes. I want you to see my eyes out there, cuz."
I don't know.
No,
it was a deliberate decision. If you will always wear a hat and you don't wear a hat, that's a deliberate decision.
And he wears the aviators too. He said, "I'm out here."
I've seen him wear aviators at night. Today he was inside and he just chose not to. So, anyway, where's the hat? So the first thing I wrote down here was TJ. Early on, if you noticed that a lot of the runs were going to their left, our right, away from TJ. Smart plays, and we've talked about on this show before. You don't usually run the same play multiple times in the NFL. Even if it works, you might come back to it once. I noticed the Falcons ran the same play. They put a guy in motion, then ran left behind him, running away from TJ. You basically don't have to block the end guy when you run away from him. So they're running away from TJ, incredibly smart. And then it's like, okay, at some point we have to run it the other direction just to mix it up. And as soon as they did, tackle for loss, TJ Watt slips underneath the tackle and sure enough makes the tackle. And that's pretty much why you run away from TJ Watt. I think it might have been the first drive. Next thing I have down here is a great play by Wilson, number 41, our rookie linebacker.
Yeah, Peyton Wilson.
I wish I could go back. That's the other, I should say this. That's the other negative about doing this right away is I can't go back and watch quote unquote film or get some things to figure out because I'd like to see what else he did in that game. I don't remember his name being called or remember seeing him much throughout the game, but the play that he made to stop it was they threw a little wide receiver screen. He came off a block. Stopped a TD. I mean, a great effort. Stopped a touchdown. Kept them short of a first down. Held them to a field goal. I believe it was their opening drive because Atlanta was going right down the field. They were dominating the Steelers, and we had the conversation about that. Like, you want to come out and impose your will on the Pittsburgh Steelers because the Steelers are known for their defense being tough, both running the ball and being on defense defending the run. Like that was one of the pride things that as long as I played. It was like, don't give up 100-yard rushing. And so it's like, we are going to specialize in run stopping. So the fact that Atlanta came out and was just kind of being more physical than us, I think we'll play as we get to it. We'll play later in that finally they were like, okay, we got a stake in the ground. We're not going to just let this happen. But that first drive was just, they were like, oh boy, this could be one of those days. But when Wilson comes off that play, makes the stop, holds him to a field goal. It's kind of like that old bend but don't break defense. Coach Tomlin always talks about it. I think we've seen that a lot from our great defenses is you can bend and you can give up first downs and they drive, but what's most important is that you hold them to 3. You don't break in the red zone. I think that's what I put down here. I said the Falcons are showing how they want to be physical. The Steelers were like, okay, you punched us in the mouth a little bit. We've got guys that haven't played yet this preseason. But what's going to happen? We're gonna put our foot down, put a stake in the ground, and stop you and hold you to 3. And that's what they did. And I thought that was a great first drive for it. Atlanta had to be happy with that drive. But I think the Steelers had to be happy as well because they're like, boy, we're getting dominated. But you know what? Enough's enough.
How much do you think that was a concerted effort by Raheem Morris just being a protege, I guess? Working under Tomlin, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tomlin's a defensive guy, and he's going to go there, and he's like, and that's a play, and to your point, that's a thing that Tomlin would do come out like, hey, we're going to run it, and we're going to run down the throat, we're going to get him on the heels.
We're going to establish the run. That's what Tomlin said. We are establishing the run today.
How much of that, I mean, obviously that's something NFL teams want to do initially, but how much do you think that relationship between the two influenced that decision?
I mean, there's probably something to be said about knowing the coach, knowing the guy you're going against. I know that because I've heard Tomlin say, and other coaches say, like, I know this guy. This is what he likes to do on this. He likes to do this on third downs. He likes to, whatever it may be. So I'm sure there's a little bit there. I saw afterwards Tomlin hugged, gave him a little special hug. I mean, I think that they probably both knew, listen, this is what we want to do, and that's what, and they did it. But kudos to them. Great first drive. Stop them 3 points. Steelers get the ball, opening drive. And we have a rookie center playing, and they fumble the first snap. And I'm like, oh, boy, this is not looking good. Only Justin Fields can take a fumble snap for like 3 or 4 yards. Like he picks it up, gets 3 or 4. I think it was second down, or one of the early ones. I think it was second down. Justin rolls out, throws behind a guy. I would just say, in my notes here, I have it looked to me maybe like some nerves for Justin. Like, okay, got to get out there. He was informed probably 12 hours before he's playing. Got to get out there. Got to figure out like what's going on and everything. I just felt like he was a little, what it appeared to be. I don't know. I'm just going what he appeared to be. I'd say he appeared to be maybe a little nervous, which is normal. I'd say the first game for anybody is going to be. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be things that happen that aren't characteristic of your team. You're working through things, so it's very, very normal for first game things to happen. So I think that it's okay as long as you can get out of it.
Do you have any specific memories of you being nervous going into these games?
Yeah, I would I think as I got later in my career, I got less and less nervous. But that first game of the year is always
some
different.
Butterfly, some stuff.
I'd never forget. I love talking to rookies before the first game. And I'm like, hey, you nervous? They're like, no, I'm ready. I'm like, liar. You're a liar because I'm nervous. And I've been playing for 16 years. You're nervous. No. But because I think they just want to be like, no, I'm not nervous. No, it's okay to be nervous. Like you should have that. That's what, if you don't, I would always tell you, if you're not nervous and you don't have jitters, then you're not doing the right thing. You don't care. You don't love it, whatever. So there definitely has to be some of that out there. I mean, everybody. Aaron Rodgers playing tomorrow in his however many years. I'm sure he's got some nerves and butters and excitement. I think you go from calling it nerves to excitement.
Yeah. How did you? I think part of it is probably you're feeling all nerves, and early on you probably don't know how to handle that. But after that many years of playing in the league, how do you talk yourself into, okay, I know this feeling. Here's how I get my head right.
Yeah, I think you're able to figure it out as you get older. Like, okay, let me just go ahead and hit me, guy. Let a guy hit me, or get even one play out. Like there'd be times that going into a game, first game of the year, where it's like, you go into a game and you have what they call the openers. 10 plays, you know what they are. You talk about it. You figure it out with the coach. And there'd be times going to the first game, I'm like, "Ooh, coach, let's not do that one the very first play. I'm a little nervous, or I got a little excitement or something." Or you'd say, "You know what? I want to take a shot. Let's throw this thing as deep as we can the first play just for fun." So that was always the fun part of going into a season and a game. So anyway, I think that there was definitely some nerves you could see from Justin, but I thought a good first drive. I think they got to a 3rd and 6. I don't know if it was the first third down, but 3rd and 6. Kind of on that borderline fringe area we talk about almost being a field goal, and they ran it. And I was a little okay, I was wondering, I know Greg Olson mentioned on the thing, my first thought was, are you running it because you think you're going to go for it on fourth down, which happens. Like, okay, it's 3rd and 6. If we pick up 3, it's 4th and 3, we're going to go for it. I think they picked up 1 or 2. So then you end up kicking a field goal. You bring Boz out for 57 yards, and we already talked about Boz, the president. He nails it, 57 yards. So I would say this. Not the way you want to start offensively as the Steelers and fumbling. I think they fumbled twice, on that opening drive. CQ exchange, center quarterback exchange. But you worked it down the field and got your 3 points. You tied the game. You're like, okay, we overcame some nerves, some jitters, and we got that. So I think as you get to that point, 3-3, you're feeling pretty good. The next thing I have is pick Kirk Cousins.
That's what
it says. Pick Kirk Cousins.
Only thing that you wrote. Pick Kirk Cousins. I wonder what that means.
I think they got Kirk off rhythm a little bit. I know I said this to you guys. I didn't write it down, I don't think. But it felt like a lot of the early passes were like short for Kirk.
Yeah, you mentioned that when we were watching.
Even us a little bit too. It's like at some point you have to, at some point you've got to start stretching the field a little bit, or you just sit on it, which is why we almost had a pick early. We did get a pick. We kind of got him off rhythm. He's bouncing around to different options and reads. And we're just sitting on the short passes. I think that's huge. Part of that too, though, is I know you could say like, okay, let's take the shot. I'm sure Atlanta's coaches are like, well, we can't drop back deep and throw it deep because TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith are coming around the edge.
Right.
Agreed. That's a good problem to have when you're the Steelers. Right. But I still felt like I wrote here like they need to take a shot to back us off because our guys were sitting at the sticks and just waiting. And it's like we would say that in a game when if we were playing and we felt like a defense was like, man, they're not respecting the deep ball. Let's just take a shot.
Yeah.
Even if you don't complete it, just throw it. And they have to be like, okay, we got to be ready for this. And so it just felt like, okay, we got to deal with the rush, but at some point they need to back us up. And I didn't think they really ever did that. But
yeah, and those are two teams at quarterbacks that have a deep ball, have been proven to have a deep ball. At what point in time do you feel confident in making that decision to do it? I know you're not gun shy, so you're ready to slam that
I'm ready
thing.
To go.
But like,
I'm ready to go
for
early.
what you saw, like Justin Field, man, dude's got an arm. Like on our end, what's the perfect scenario for you to do that?
Yeah, I think I don't. It doesn't have to be the first drive. I mean, I think it's important to get into a rhythm. I know, like I loved getting into a rhythm early in the game. Short pass here, screen here, get yourself, get guys involved too, because that's a great way to get players involved. You could get guys like AB, Deontay Johnson, Mike Wallace, Heath. I mean, just go down the list of the guys that we've had. Get them balls early. George Pickens. You want to get these guys balls early, touches, because that keeps them coming back. It keeps them going, keeps them excited in the game. Hines Ward, you want to get him balls early. So I think it's important to be able to do those things, so get the ball in their hands quick. But at some point, you got to take that shot. You got to when a defense is sitting on the sticks, what we would always say is we got to go beyond the sticks. If it's 3rd and 5, we're not throwing a 6-yard pass. We're throwing a 20-yard pass because we might not hit it, but we're making them think that every time we're not just throwing it at the sticks. So that's something I didn't feel that either team did early.
Yeah, especially with a dude like George Pickens. I mean, he's a freak in nature. We've seen that obviously in the last couple of years, but one-on-one against any DB in the league,
he's a deep ball. He's a true deep ball threat. But but here you go. In my next note says Mike T is already trying to calm down Pickens in the first quarter.
I saw that. Yeah.
And the reason that's going on is because he wants touches. He wants the ball.
Yeah.
Give him a screen early. Give him some ball. Give him some touches early. But you want a guy that has a little bit of fire, that wants the ball, as long as it doesn't disrupt the team. And I'm not saying it's getting there, but it's got there in the past. Let's hope it doesn't get there this year.
Yeah, I just think
soon.
Yeah, I just think with him, I mean, if you throw him something short, he's getting you a couple after catch. But that's not a 50-50 ball with him in a corner, bro. That's like a 70-30 ball.
Right, and I know we're going to talk about the one play that was kind of a controversy in the game. We'll talk about that.
We'll get to it
at some point. But I agree. He's a player. He's a guy that you got to take your shots with. He's a potential game changer.
I really like the psychological parts of the game. I was asking you during the game, like it was Harrison that it was every time he was running the ball, he's like getting fired up. I saw him run the ball and kind of get in the guy's face afterwards. I was asking you, like, as a quarterback, were you like, oh, bro, hang back, or are you like,
oh, for Najee? Yeah. Well, yeah. Sometimes there's a place for that extra, but then there's also a time that the extra distracts. And when the extra is distracting, like you're trying to get in the huddle, you're trying to call a play, you're trying to, like there'd be times that we might have like a specialty play coming up and I got to like talk to a guy about something, but he's like getting in a fight or chirping with somebody. I'm like, come on, man, we got it. Like this is more important. I only have, 25 seconds on the play clock. We got to go. So there's definitely a line to that. Linemen sometimes. Linemen love to chirp and do their thing. Yeah. Sometimes it's like, hey, come on, I need you. Yeah. Pounce was big at trying to like be a bully. And it was great. And that's what made him, in my opinion, a Hall of Famer. But I'm like, Pounce, give me the huddle.
Just short and sweet. Just get it over with.
I need you.
And nobody's trying Pouncing. Let's be honest. There's nobody trying Pouncing.
So anyway, that takes me to the end of the first quarter. I wish I wrote down the score, but regardless, I didn't write down the score ever, which was silly of me. But my first note in the second quarter is Minkah is flying around. Yes. I think that's the play where he was at the safety and there was a run play and he like shot out of a cannon, comes downhill, takes on the back, and maybe the guy picks up a yard or two. Yeah. Like that's just Minkah being an all-pro, being a guy that's not afraid. Like he's not afraid to do the dirty work. A lot of safeties just want to make interceptions. Minkah will do whatever's asked, and he's flying around and he's helping his team. So I kudos Minkah. That's what he does.
Tied at 3 after the first.
Tied at 3. We're sitting good. So right now we haven't turned the ball over. Which going to this game, if you were to say you might ask me that question. How do the Steelers win this game? My keys to the game would have been: don't turn the ball over if you're Pittsburgh. Create turnovers, which is people might say, "Oh, no kidding, duh, man." Turnovers. If you can get a turnover, protect the ball. So I would tell my quarterback Justin Fields, protect yourself. Don't do anything crazy. Use your feet when you need to. Find a way to get turnovers from Atlanta, and then stay ahead of the chains. Those would be big things for me. Early on, Justin took care of the ball. Now there was some. I know we talked about center Q exchange. That's not all on him. Mm-hmm. Kurt's already turned it over. We haven't yet. Now we haven't stayed ahead of the chains yet. So that's why we're sitting at 3-3 because nothing's looking too good either way, other than the turnover battle, which is huge. My next note I have, which is one of my most favorite things to talk about and write down. Falcons are using the silent count at home, which Steeler fans, best in the world. When you're at home and you have to use a silent count because Steeler Nation took over, that's the greatest. So I got to give kudos to all the Steeler fans.
That's Mercedes-Benz.
Mercedes-Benz.
I think they were relabeling Acrisure South. Is what they were talking about.
Yeah. Dude, TJ Watt was like hyping up the crowd and it was getting louder in the stadium. I'm like, wait a second.
You made a comment at one point, if they show the Watt like a stadium, you're going to see terrible towels everywhere. That's just what it is.
Oh man, there's some Falcon fans here.
It's just the way it
in
is.
Between. Did you have a favorite non-home game place to play, knowing that there were going to be a bunch of Steeler fans?
I always love going to, what's not there anymore, rest in peace, San Diego, going to the San Diego Chargers, going to that stadium. There was always so many Steeler fans in Southern California. So much fun to play. I feel like even going to Tampa, felt like the destination spots, there was always, even going to Dallas, which I know is like faux pas, no way. Yes, there's always, the towel is just so strong. So it was fun. But, let's see. Oh, I wrote down, give me some play action or a shot down the field. So we're going back to our short stuff. When you're running the ball and you're doing these, we've got to get some play action, some shots down the field. Again, this is the second quarter, so they end up doing some stuff. But what are we doing? My next one's gonna be.
You want to go? I just got a question. I'm just so curious about this, and I know we're going to talk about the quarterbacks here in a little bit, but this game plan drawn up for Russell Wilson, a very successful play action quarterback. Why aren't those in there early? Do you think that they don't have the run established to pull that off, or I just felt like it was?
I don't know. That's why
prime for it.
I agree. I totally agree. Maybe they didn't feel they were running the ball well enough, but I didn't see a traditional offense where you had 3-4 wide, you're in the shotgun, you take it back, and I didn't see a lot of just straight drop back passes. Yeah. Maybe they didn't feel confident in the offensive line, which I know I had to write on here. I thought the line, at halftime, I thought the line played well. Really did. I again, not going back and watching the finite details of it and seeing, there he didn't quite do this or there he didn't. Just watching it live, I thought the line played really well. Yeah. And especially for a Falcons defense that they've been hyping up, could be a good defense.
Right. And that was without their first round pick.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a rookie center, which is not easy. So quarter 2, we finally take a shot down the field. And I wrote OPI. They called it offensive pass interference on Pickens. We talked about this one. Here's what I wrote, just so we can dive into it. Such a small push, but you can't put 2 hands on him. About time they went down the field. Okay, so let me get into this play. We finally take some shots down the field with the guy that is going to go down the field that you want to go down the field with. Did he push off? Yes. Was it the smallest push off? Absolutely.
I mean, did he though?
Absolutely. It was the smallest thing ever. Were there probably 15 worse ones in that game? Probably. Were there 100 worse ones in all football today? Probably. Okay. But you can't put when he put
it's 2 hands.
What got him? It was the 2 hands. Yeah. If it would have been this, like the same push, he probably could have pushed harder with 1 and got away with it. The fact that he saw the ref, and the ref was, they showed the replay. It's like they're running and the ref's looking like right here. And when you see 2, that's what it was. I'm telling you, that's what it was. It didn't have to be egregious.
It just felt like to me, I'm biased. I'm a Steeler fan. I'll say it. Those are my cards. It felt like more of a grounding thing, like try to figure out my space. Did he push in the midst of it? Probably they're moving. But come on, man.
Don't disagree at all.
2 things that happened when they showed the replay. One, offensive pass interference. He did not interfere with him intercepting that ball or getting involved in that play. He didn't even get his body didn't even move off of what the defender's route was going.
Brother, I'm on your side.
And 2, he wasn't even looking. You could see if you watch the replay, he lost the ball. The defender lost the ball. I was like, he wasn't even going to have a chance.
But again, I hear all that. It doesn't matter. You can't put 2 hands on him.
Too soft.
And I agree. Awful call. Awful call. But that's my 2 cents. And I think if he doesn't put 2 hands and get the small push, again, I think 1 hand with a stronger push.
Yeah.
We always said you couldn't extend. See my arm? Extend. If you push like this with a little short, you get away with it. When they see that extension, that's the bad. Just saying.
Yeah, man, it's crazy how wrong they got that.
Yeah, I agree.
At the end of the day.
My next one, TJ. Maybe there's gonna be a lot of TJ coming.
I don't think. I mean, that's a whole another hour we could spend on TJ.
TJ for vice president.
TJ should be the emperor or whatever is above the president.
TJ comes around the edge. He made a great play. Did everything you wanted. Got the ball shot, put it up in the air, and that's one where you're the quarterback, and that happens, and you're like, oh man, pick. Like it's awful. But if you're on the sideline, you're like, pick, and sure enough, Ray McLeod, who used to be here, I love Ray. Goes up, not a very big guy, goes up in high points, and they pick up 18 yards.
Wild to me.
On a ball fluttering in the air. I don't really have much else to say. That's an interception.
Well, hey, Minkah was on the way. If you watch that back, Minkah was seconds away. Yeah.
I think Minkah thought he was going to, he almost didn't go hit Ray because it's like, I got this.
Yeah.
Then obviously, they go down the field and score. Pitts was wide open. I didn't watch. I can't tell you why he was wide open, other than it looked like the safety went to the middle. They talked about him flooding the zone with 4 receivers, which can be hard to cover, but I'm sure Tomlin will not be happy with that. But Pitts was wide open. And it was right after the sack fumble.
Yeah.
I have my thing. So
I'm sorry for being the fan that just likes to know all the behind the scenes stuff. But on that play, when they watch film back, when will they watch film back? Tomorrow? They get a day?
Yes, tomorrow.
Okay, so tomorrow they go watch film. Talk to me about in the film room. Are they getting chastised? Are they getting encouraged?
A little bit. It'll be a little bit of both. I think there'll be a lot of encouragement. I think coach will be like, hey, listen, it wasn't our best game, but we won.
On that specific play, where there was a break.
It's going to be hard. If someone made okay, you were just complete. What were you doing? You went for no reason. Went over here. You're supposed to be there. Yeah. He might get on him for it, but at the end of the day, it's going to be. You'd have to really almost that's the second time we told you. I don't think anyone's going to get yelled at for that play. Yeah. Things like that happen. Even if you bid on something, they call it biting the cheek, whatever. It's so I don't think anyone's getting yelled at or anything for that, unless, again, Coach was like, I told you when this, like we walked through that play,
Right.
and you still messed it up. Then he might get him on him a little bit. But other than that, not crazy, I don't believe. And that takes us to almost halftime. And I have to talk about the end of the half play. I thought it was a great concept. They rolled Fields left, and backside is George, and George is coming across the field to look like he's coming all the way across, and then he puts his foot in the ground and goes back to the sideline. Great concept, great drawn up play. Fields throws it over to him. George catches it, goes to cut back. Luckily gets tackled. Well, two luckies. Gets tackled out of bounds, which stops the clock with 1 second. Now they end up looking at it. He ended up like kind of stepping out of bounds with 3 seconds.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter, if he tries to cut back and gets tackled, anything else, like he almost took enough time by juking and trying to score. If the clock would have ran out, that is that's a mistake that's one that you would get on a guy for. You're trying. I'm trying to be careful with my words a little bit because I don't want to say it's selfish, because I know you're trying to score, you're trying to help your team. But we would always say at end of halves, end of games, get out of bounds. We don't need an extra 2 yards. We don't need 1 yard. Now if you have a chance to break one and maybe go, but in that situation, you're catching and you're getting out of bounds and you're saving yourself a chance. Now they ended up, like I said, I think got lucky they went out of bounds. They kicked a field goal, and at halftime, was it 6-6? No, it would have been
6-7.
6-7 because of a touchdown. So
how much of that
crazy,
is just how much of that's just week one? Hey man, I'm just caught up in it.
I think it might be some of that. I also think it's a playmaker mentality.
Yeah,
he wants to score. He wants to make plays,
which is something you want to feed.
Yeah, it's good. It can be bad.
Yeah,
but it didn't bite him this time. It might end up biting him later in the season, but this time it didn't.
Yeah.
So all things considered, I have halftime so far. I have O-line has played well. I have question marks next to the play action. Like, where is the play action? Okay, and then I have on here. I said the ball just knows to go to TJ.
Yeah,
and I think that was on the fumble when the ball bounced off the motion guy. Kurt tried to stop him. The ball bounces off the motion guy. And I think you said he has magnets in his glove or something.
Yeah, he probably got magnets. You know what I mean? It's
the ball,
the science behind it.
But that's what. That's what makes him. Great players are around the ball.
Yeah,
whether it bounces to him or they're around it.
The more I watch TJ Watt, and I'll correct at the half it was 10-9. Forgive me. Okay. But TJ, the more I watch TJ Watt play football, the more I think he was created in a laboratory. He's such a freak of nature. There was one, I think it was one of the sacks. He like dove through 2 guys to make the tackle.
Only 2?
Just the 2 this time. Yeah, he's a freak of nature. And sidebar, TJ and Danny, congratulations. I know you guys just announced you respected your first.
Is that?
Yeah,
is that known?
It's known. Oh. It's known. It is known. I would not say it here.
That'd be great. They just told you.
No, TJ, Danny, congratulations.
TJ's here for you, Spencer.
Yeah,
he wants to see you.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say I was gonna run, but I can't run away from TJ.
Congratulations, TJ.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So stoked for you guys.
That's really cool.
Yeah, but yeah, freak of nature.
Yes.
So
let's see.
So going into the second half.
Yeah, we're into the third quarter. Ball goes to him. I wrote on here, I like the way the OC has opened up the playbook a little bit. So it felt like, that must have, as I'm recalling, started doing some stuff down the field, started getting some more, just felt like you weren't keeping Justin in such a small box.
Yeah.
Let's slowly start to open the box a little bit and let him do what he does. I thought they did a great job with that. My next note says Boz for MVP.
Can you win it in week 1? Because if you can, it's a sealed deal.
So yeah, but again, we talk about him. I mean, at this point, he's automatic.
Yeah. So I am curious because you talked about establishing a rhythm. Obviously, that is something you want to. I think every team is trying to do, especially the offense, and establishing a rhythm in the offense. You're throwing these, getting the ball in your hand quick. You're getting your players involved. You're trying to get touches. You're gaining yards. You're trying some stuff out outside of the first initial 10 plays that you've coordinated. What does establishing a rhythm for a defense look like, especially after that first drive that Atlanta had against us?
Because stopping the run.
Yeah.
Because they have a great running back. Robinson is a great running back. you've got to find a way to be more physical and stop that, because that was not what the Steelers want to do, right? That's we talk about that. That's embarrassing for the Steelers as a defense, to get run on and be just out physicaled. Now it's time for us to show you, hold on. So once you start stopping the run and make them do something different, become a different dimensional football team, that's a successful transition.
Which I think we saw that in the second half. I thought it was very evident.
For sure.
It was, where you going, Bub? Nowhere. I mean, they scored 0 points in the second half.
I agree.
So
then I would say I jumped into the fourth quarter. Now I'm getting to the end here because there's a couple things. It says it took us till midway into the fourth quarter to get in the red zone. If that's true, that's not winning football. You got to get in the red. And I know I think we only got in the red zone twice, which is not enough. It's a lot of field goals, I understand, but it's not enough. We got to get in the red zone more, and you can't wait till the fourth quarter to get in the red zone.
Yeah.
And when we got down there, I have a note here, and I'm going to talk about this for a second. I said George Pickens has to block. Late in that game, on a wide receiver screen, he's too strong, he's too physical.
Yeah.
You can't. He got him. I think it was him and another receiver was out there. I don't know if it was Austin or who it was. Who's smaller, but you have to take some pride. Now, if we're going to throw you shots, and you're a big playmaker, George, you are the playmaker.
Yeah.
You do some special things, and you are going to be a great football player. Part of it is that attitude that we talked about in the first quarter. Coach calming you down. I get it. You want the ball. Not mad about that. But you have to do more as a wide receiver. We have a guy that should be in the Hall of Fame in Hines Ward that specialized in scoring touchdowns because he sniffed it out. And you could say he did it because he wanted to get touchdowns, but he knew that it was going to help his team.
Mm-hmm.
He found ways to score, but he also put it all on the line to block for his teammates. And there's something to be said about being a selfless football player when it comes to being out there. The guys in the trenches are busting their butt every single play for you to get on SportsCenter, to make the plays, for the running backs to open holes for running backs. They're bleeding, they're sweating, they're getting their butt kicked. You need to do your job when it's called. And I get that there's sometimes a run might break out, right? And they're like, oh, he should have been blocking. That was a screen play that you're blocking, and you need to you know what? Coach say, put your big boy pads on. Buckle your chin strap. Let's go. They do that drill in practice, DBs versus receivers blocking.
Yeah.
You got to do it. And again, I'm not trying to be, it may sound like I'm being overly critical of George, but in that situation, when you have a screen, if he gets that block, I believe, if I remember correctly, it's a first down and maybe touchdown.
Yeah.
He makes a lot of great plays, but if you want to be great, do the little things that's required as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned it might sound like you're being harsh. I think his capacity to do that has a lot to do with the level of criticism, because he's an absolute dog. He's a bully out there.
He is, and he's big enough. I wouldn't, if it was a little guy and you're like, okay, listen, we're asking you to
block a linebacker.
Yeah. but you're a physical dude.
Yeah.
Let's go. I know you can do it. We wouldn't ask you to do it if we didn't believe him. They wouldn't put him in that situation if they didn't think he couldn't do it.
Oh, he'd be pancaking people.
And I know he could do it. And I think I hope what you're going to see is a guy that goes out there and gets a little bit nasty moving forward. That's one where coach might get on a guy. If coach is willing to hold him accountable, he'll get on him. Team room. Hey guys, see this? Show some linemen downfield block and show them that they're getting into it, and be like, hey, see this, guys? So that the team now holds him accountable too. But as a head coach, it's your responsibility to call the guy out and then turn it over to your leaders and let them say, hey, we need more. Just pull them to the side. Hey, we need a little more from you.
Yeah.
So I'm
and
hoping
that's good leadership.
Oh, yeah, it's not.
This is who I know you can be.
For sure.
Rise up to who we know you can be.
For sure. I think the next thing that people are going to want to know is we had the ball down there. I think we were up 8 or 5. I don't know what it was, but on fourth down, we tried to run a quarterback sneak.
Yeah, that can't win them all.
You can't. And you got a big guy. The only thing that I would say, and kind of watching it live, and again, not watching it back, is it felt like maybe we weren't all ready. That's one where you either are trying to surprise everybody and go quick,
right,
or you just say, hey, listen, get everyone set, and this is what we're going to do. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So it didn't work. Should you have kicked it there? Maybe, but I don't fault Tomlin for wanting to put let's put the nail in it right here and do this, you know. So
yeah, I didn't I like that play call. I think
I'm not mad about it.
Can't win them all.
Yeah, I just
especially with a guy like Justin.
I would have liked to have known. Yes, with a big guy like that, I just want to know, were they trying to hurry and catch him off guard? Did they just, because it just didn't seem like everyone was ready.
Yeah.
Guy jumped over the pile, made a great play, but
the call felt right. It just felt sloppy executed.
There you go. Exactly. It just didn't feel right.
Well, yeah, and to your point, that dude jumping over, pulling a Troy, like sometimes they just make a play too, man.
Yeah,
like that fool, like one airborne.
My last kind of two things here. The last pick that Kirk had, I'm not sure what was going on. I know he got hit, but I don't know if he didn't get hit, who he's going to throw it to. But it was another turnover. 3 turnovers is it's so hard to win in this league when you turn the ball over 3 times. It can happen, but it doesn't happen very often. So going into that game, as I just told you, turnovers, we won that battle.
Yeah.
We weren't great. We got better in the second half of being ahead of the chains.
Yeah.
Weren't great in the first, but got better in the second half, getting ahead of the chains. Boz did what we had to do. And so
we took care of
took care of it. Listen, you go out there, and of course TJ finds a way to end it. TJ being TJ and shutting everybody down, getting the ball or sack on the end. And he had at least 2 or 3, I felt like, sack fumbles, turnovers that were negated because of penalty. But the man is unbelievable. And so those are my notes. It's a win. You go home right now being like, listen, it wasn't pretty, but we got the win. We did what we were supposed to do. We went on the road and won. And I think that's huge.
I know it's week 1, but I'm going to be saying undefeated. I'm not going to tell me how many games it was.
How much of Atlanta's problem was Arthur knowing Atlanta's playbook?
None.
I feel like that would have been sweet.
New playbook, new offense. I don't even know. I think it's a new staff. None.
I think you could probably make the reverse argument as like how much of Atlanta do they know the pulse of the former head coach, right?
I think if anything, I think the Steelers might have wanted to play a little harder for Arthur.
Yeah.
Like, let's go win this for him. We like him as a coordinator. Let's go win for him. I think that maybe was more. I'm not in the locker room. That's just what I could see that being something.
So, a lot of breakdowns for that. One thing that we didn't hit on that I'm very curious about. Obviously, last time we filmed an episode, we actually filmed it 2 weeks ago. Released it a week after we filmed it, but we had announced, I think, that day that Russ was going to be the quarterback.
Yeah,
right?
I made that announcement.
Yeah, QB1, right? 3 days. How many days ago did or 2 days, a day ago maybe, when we found out Russ was not going to be?
I think they made the official announcement this morning.
Yeah. Is that what it was?
I think it was like this morning. He's inactive.
Oh, I just remember them releasing something on like after practice. Yeah, that's what it was.
He was questionable, but that still doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I remember hearing that when they released it, thinking, "Oh, that's bad timing." Justin gets the call. Let's say worst case scenario, 12 hours ago, dude. Like, when is he getting? You said this morning he's getting notified. What is Justin thinking in that regard? I mean, at what point in time are you saying, okay, it's questionable? I know there's the potential of me having to go in. Mm-hmm. I would imagine they're keeping him up to speed on Rush's status. So, what's Justin thinking, man? What's his mentality? What does that transition look like for him?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. I think if Russ gets hurt in practice, which I think they said that he maybe did get hurt in practice.
During practice?
Or during practice. So I think right then you're like, okay, like I have to start preparing mentally. Because I always say the backup quarterback's job is to always be ready to go, but help the starter be ready to do everything he can to help him. If all of a sudden the number one's like, ooh, he might not go. Now my mentality is, okay, I need to get myself as ready to go as possible. So he's been preparing since whatever practice it was, Thursday or Friday, that Russ, supposedly maybe got hurt or whatever it was. He now is like, okay, I'm preparing to be the starter. I got to be ready to go. That being said, you're still not sure.
Yeah.
Till the call, at least as far as we know. For all we know, coach could have told him on Friday, you're starting the game. But we don't know that. So it's like, okay, it's your job now. You got to go prepare and get ready to go. And that's not the easiest thing to do. Sometimes you change, if you have two different kind of quarterbacks, you might change some things, but they said they didn't change anything. So Justin just had to be ready to go. And I know we didn't talk about that yet. I would love to dive back into the playbook.
Yeah, that was my next question. It's like, dude, how do you think Justin did? I mean, I don't want to say come off the bench, but like coming in cold, man, obviously he's a great athlete. He's a great player. He's proven himself in the league. But coming in, I mean, not ideal circumstances, man. Short notice. What did you see out there that you liked?
Yeah, so I did. I'm back into the football and playbook. And I have a page just on Justin.
You have field notes?
I have field.
Come on now. Come on. Hey, they're not all gold. All right. We're gonna try them. Right?
Dad jokes.
Come on.
Dad jokes. That's true. The first thing I wrote, when this is, I think before anything, was like legs. He's going to have to use his legs. Gotta be ready to move. I have on the first third down scramble. He got the first, but when they showed the replay from behind, it looked like he had a receiver running down the field. So I would say this, like I would, and this also goes back. I would also take this back into. I know we're going to get into it later, talking about some other NFL news, Chiefs, Ravens. Like one thing you see Patrick doing, his eyes are always looking to throw. Yeah. There was, and this is early in the game, so I don't blame him or say anything wrong about just let me get the first down. But as they move forward, if he continues to be the guy, as he's scrambling and he is dangerous with his legs, if he can keep his eyes downfield a little longer. Well, it sounds like one of my kids just fell. I don't hear anybody crying yet, but if he can keep his eyes downfield a little longer, like the threat of him running is going to force guys to look at him and come up. Guys can get open deep. I mean, that's when quarterbacks are scrambling, they're either looking to run or they're scrambling to throw. I was a scramble to throw guy because I was going to be more dangerous with my arm than my legs. Some guys like Lamar are scrambling to run because they are freaky good with their legs. Justin is probably more of a legs guy, but if he can just peek some of that stuff as he moves forward, he'll maybe look at it on film like, okay, I see that guy. Yeah. Just be alert for that. So I have that on here as a note. I'm just going to read my notes and I'll kind of give my 2 cents on how I thought he played. I said the stats don't look great, but I don't think he's done anything wrong. I think they need to call plays to go down the field. So this is first half stuff. Yeah. And you can look at the whole day. Were the stats great? No. But the stat that was great? No turnovers. That is what you ask that guy to do is not turn the ball over, find a way to get us to victory. He did that. And I think that I would like to see if he stays in for next week, I'd like to see Arthur Smith open the offense up a little bit for him. Yeah, I mean, let's take some shots at George. Let's use Freiermuth a little bit more. Let's do some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'd love to see him Freiermuth. And he was 17-23 at the $156.
Okay. You're not going to win fantasy leagues with that. But you know what you did? You got to win, and you didn't turn the ball over. Yep. That's what you ask. I have here a good finish to the half, getting 3 points, like that play we talked about. Listen, find a way to get it down the field, get 3 points, huge. I didn't think he looked comfortable early, but then I think he settled in a little bit and started to look down the field, like started to move the ball down the field and take some shots. Those shots that George we talked about, and again. It's the first game of the year. You're probably not going to be super comfortable. But I thought he got into it. I thought being in the gun helps him. He looks more comfortable in the shotgun. I thought that was good.
You kept calling as we were sitting here for the deep ball, and he was converting. He was completing those deep ball passes. I mean, there was that one with the offensive pass interference, but I mean, he was completing these deep ball passes.
Taking the shots, doing it. I'd like to see some more just straight drop back passes. We haven't seen it. We didn't see it a lot last year, but let's get some stuff where you get guys going, running in routes and out routes and all that kind of stuff.
How much of that is evolution of the game versus OC, like their system?
I don't know. It's tough. I don't know Arthur Smith's system, so I'm not really sure. But it could have been. Listen, this is week 1. Maybe they just wanted to go in and just take care of business. Like, listen, if you're going to play a really good offense, you can't just settle for field goals. Yeah. So maybe you could be more aggressive depending on who you're playing. Maybe this is a week where okay, we like our defense versus them. We don't. Kirk coming off injury, didn't play all preseason. Let's just take that chance. I don't know, but again, he took care of the ball. I have her here what happened on the 4th down when the guys weren't ready. We talked about that. I'm not really sure. Nothing fancy, but he didn't hurt the team, and he did enough to win. And don't turn it over. So we talked there. I'm gonna close the playbook. All in all, on a short notice, you ask a guy to go win the game for you. You ask a guy not to lose the game and to do enough to win the game. He did that. He got us into field goal range when he needed to. He made the plays at the end of the half. He threw the ball to George down the field when he needed to. He extended plays with his legs when he needed to. I thought all in all, he did enough to win that game, and I thought he did a great job. Did he A+? No. C? No. I'd give him a solid B or B+. Could he be? Yeah. Does he have the potential and the capability to go out and go 30 of 40, 35 of 40 for 300 and some yards and 5? Sure. Could he run for that? Sure. But what you asked him to do on a short week, short notice, against what people were talking, I don't know much about him, but people were talking about them being a good defense. What he did, great job.
Yeah.
I was watching on the side, I kept showing shots in the sideline of Russ kind of keeping the team pumped up and motivated. He was doing a good job, leadership on the sidelines. How much do you think that what's going on in his head knowing Denver's coming next week and he wants that revenge game?
Oh, man. He's had that game circled on his, and listen, Russ, you can lie all you want and say you haven't. That game has been circled on his calendar since that got released. And yeah, you brought Russ in here to be the leader. And what he showed you on the sideline was leadership. He was going around pumping guys up, high-fiving guys, keeping them going. And that's what you want from that guy. That's what you want from your leader, your quarterback. He is going to do everything in his power to get on the field next week. Everything in his power. He's probably getting treatment right now. I mean, he's probably on his own plane flying home, not on the team plane getting treatment. Like, who knows? But and we don't know the severity of the injury, so we don't know is it really an option? Coach is going to do a great job of not announcing it so that no one knows until he has to. He may already know. Everyone might know except for us.
Yeah, just a couple guys in the basement.
Text.
Right. Hey, Coach T.
But my point is saying that is Mike might already be like, it's not happening. Russ is going to do everything he can to get out there. I'm telling you. Russ might cut off his leg and put a different leg on there just to get out there. So it's going to be interesting. He wants to get on that field so bad. He wants to go to Denver. He wants to probably get booed. I'm guessing they're going to.
He wants to get booed, or he
wants to get booed. He wants to be loved. I mean, everyone does, but he wants that everyone's again. I'm going to go out here.
Chip on the shoulder, man.
I am going to destroy all of you. You guys are paying me $39 million to not be here, and I'm about to show you what it's about.
Yeah.
Now, whether it happens or not, I don't know. But whether he plays or not. But I thought what he did, his leadership on the sideline was awesome. Didn't appear that he was trying to step on Fields' toes or anything like that. Still my team. Just looked like he's being a great leader, captain.
From let's say Russ, hypothetically, right now feels awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And did Fields do enough to earn the spot to start next week?
Good question. He didn't do. If Russ is healthy, and coach thinks he's healthy, obviously he's not going to be 100%. But if coach is like, hey, he's good enough, I think it goes back to Russ. Mm-hmm. Russ is your starter. Now, if you're telling me it's 4 or 5 games, and they're they've won 4 or 5 games, and then now Russ is healthy, maybe you kind of pause. But your plan is still nothing different. Russ is your starter. Even to be honest, even if Fields would have went out and done what I talked about and put up a monster game, there'd be a lot of fans be like, "Whoa, don't change that out." But you don't know what Russ is going to bring yet either, and he's the guy. He was named a starter for a reason. So I don't think Justin did anything to lose the job or to keep it in terms of if Russ was ready to go. So I don't have an answer for you in the sense of what's going to happen, but that's my 2 cents on how Justin played today. I have no issues with how he played.
I'd say give TJ the job. He could do it.
He can, or Boss.
Yeah, our Boss. TJ. Put Boss up there. Yeah, I mean, there's so much I feel like in that game we could sit down and tease out and the nuances of it. I'd love to go back and watch it again. And really look at the O-line because, like you said, I thought the O-line held up well. I'm sure there's probably some missteps there. You're getting some of the rust off, but I thought for all the concerns that we had with the O-line, I thought they did really well. They moved Broderick back over to right tackle, if I'm correct, because
thought Dan Moore played great at left. I saw.
That was probably my biggest concern going in. And then I'm really curious to see this offensive scheme with Russ, man. I am, because if that was the game plan, obviously, Coach C comes out, we wouldn't make a whole lot of modifications. I would imagine you don't want a second guy that you're going to have to switch up the whole playbook for. So I would imagine it's still somewhat similar, but I would like to see what that is, just to see, as we progress, what that offense's identity is going to be like. But Ben broke down a whole bunch of that stuff, guys. Do us a favor in the comments. Let us know what we missed. Let us know, what you guys saw. Let us know what you guys liked. Let us know what you guys didn't like. Let us know what you guys are hoping to see throughout the season. We love reading that stuff. And I'll say, on a personal note, you guys, in this past episode, we shared, obviously, our journey, my family's journey with our daughter. I just want to thank you guys personally for all the love and support you guys showed me and my family, and the Footballin family here as they supported us through it. It's been overwhelming. If I haven't gotten to all the messages and stuff, I know people have reached out to me personally. I'm seeing them. I'm reading them. I'm grateful for you guys. Thank you so much for your prayers. I think the biggest thing, guys, I don't know if you guys had anybody reach out to you for it, but the craziest thing to me was how many people have a similar story. And it had this weird experience reading a handful of these things where I felt, I don't know, man, not alone, but I was heartbroken that there's so many other people that know what I felt, And so for y'all, man, listen, I'm reading them. I'm praying for your families. So keep throwing them in there. If you guys need prayer, use this show, man. Listen, it blew my mind how many people in the Footballin family we're just in the comments supporting each other, and that's like the coolest thing in the world to me. So, if you need that stuff, man, that's what we're here for. So
it was cool. It was cool to see, as the new guy, to guys that are obviously passionate about football and the Steelers, but just to see this whole community of moms and dads and husbands and wives and just men and women just cheering each other on and sharing stories that stuck out to me a lot.
It's the beauty of sport, I think.
Yeah.
As sport is a unifying thing, right? And in Pittsburgh, I don't know if there's a better sports town, dude. It was cool. Black and yellow, man. You're one of us, and I think that community does it. So I appreciate you, man. I say all that to say it's really been cool throughout the week to read that as they pour in. People find the episode and they listen to it or they watch it. And it was encouraging specifically this week because it was a crazy week. It was a busy week, obviously leading up to football. We were all excited it's happening, but we were kind of all running around. Like I said, we recorded that episode actually 2 weeks ago, Tuesday or Wednesday or something, and released it that following week. So it's been almost 2 weeks since we've gotten to see Jared here in person as he flies up for the show. But we've been all over the place. I mean, I live 4 minutes away from you, and I might have seen you twice, right? You know what I mean? You've been running around like crazy, dude.
It's been a crazy. I mean, we went on an awesome family vacation, which I'll talk about a little bit. Something really cool happened with my son that I'll dive into quickly. But I probably need to start with my Saturday.
Oh yeah.
We had my Bodie youngest had a baseball game, so I was dropping him off to the game, and I was going to come back and get Ash and the other two, and then take them to the game. And on the way home, got a flat tire. Haven't had a flat tire changed a tire in 10 years probably. I don't even know the last time I changed a flat tire. Changed flat tire, no big deal. Ended up having to go meet Ashley and them at the game because they're already there. Went to the game and got home, and Ashley got a flat tire. Luckily, we were already home when she got her flat tire. So I have changed one flat tire in 10 years, and now I just changed two in one day.
You good. You hit
what
quota.
are we doing?
That's what we like to call in the Christian community sin in the camp. Somebody's got to confess something.
Hey.
We're starting the football mechanic services.
2 tires.
Well, and
you can't make it up.
No, in your defense, your truck getting a flat tire is ridiculous because that's an apocalypse vehicle.
How many times you got to crank that jack that thing up?
Oh yeah.
I was just like, this is unbelievable. And you know how much you have to bend over? My hamstrings and glutes are on fire today because I'm constantly bent over trying to change all that and everything. So that's how my Saturday started. And then I had to go walk 18 holes with Benjamin to caddy for him for the junior club championship, which he did awesome. He played against a bunch of high school kids, and he just did awesome. I was super proud of him. But legs are on fire.
I just can't. I would love to see, because this happened to the side of the road.
Well, luckily, the Ashley's happened here.
Okay. I was going to say that you were on the side, but for yours,
I was on the side of the road.
I just imagine somebody driving by. It's like, hold up. Nah, that can't be.
Luckily, I was on the opposite side of the car, so the car was between me and the road.
Hey, let's run down the farmer's market real quick. Have a nice little Saturday. I mean, was that Ben Roethlisberger changing a tire?
Called AAA for me. But anyway, yeah. So that was my Saturday. Awesome. But no, I do the. We went on an awesome family vacation, and we actually went because it was over Labor Day.
Yeah.
And so Benjamin had a golf tournament down in Myrtle Beach, and Ashley was like, we are all going. Like, the family's going, because that's where she went every year as a kid on family vacation.
That's cool.
And so she was like, we're going to stay on the same beach. We actually stayed like a quarter of a mile down the beach, like so close.
That's awesome.
She goes, we're going to go to the pier. We're going to this restaurant. We're going to the arcade. We're going, like, everything that she, and so it was so nostalgic for her.
Yeah, man.
And so she was so excited for the kids to see it, for me to see it. I mean, she was talking about, like, the one thing that was funny, she was talking about, she's like, the arcade is the best. Like, we just go to the arcade all the time. So we took the kids to the arcade. There were like 8 games. You know, it was like when I was like skee ball, basketball, like just
like the Papa Shot.
Yeah, just like yeah. But it was, but you know, the kids had a blast, which is great. So we did that. We went out on the pier and like looked down and saw the fishermen and the sharks. Everything that she remembered doing as a kid.
Yeah, dude.
But the funny, so in her, the other thing that made it unique was that her mom and dad went with us. So it was like the whole thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And when we landed, we got 2 rental cars because we had everybody. And it was me, Ashley, and 2 of the kids, and then her parents driving the other car. And her mom called her and was talking to us on the drive in. Like, Ashley's like, "Oh, is that? Yeah. Oh, what's that? Oh, yeah. Remember that? And so she just kept like, "Oh, I remember going there."
Yeah, man.
And like, "Oh, is that the flea market we went to? Oh, yeah. Where's that restaurant? Oh, it closed down. Oh, what about that water park? That's not, like everything."
When was the last time that she was able to?
It's been a while. I mean, not since we've been married, so at least longer than that. Like maybe college.
Did it hit all the nostalgia
for her?
Checks for her?
I think so.
Yeah,
I
always like wondered, like for some reason, as I'm getting older, I have such my childhood like just looks cooler and cooler the older I get, and I'm like, am I making this up in my brain? Like, is it actually as good? Was our childhood actually as good as I think it is?
This is what I've come to believe. No. But
perfect. No, I appreciate it.
Yeah. No, your child was terrible. No, but because like you didn't have any responsibilities, man. And you always had you had the security of like mom or dad or like whatever, maybe if you were raised by grandparents or whatever, man. And you there was a childlike freedom, right? And I was thinking about that. I think I was even talking to you about this? The concept of like those things actually don't exist anymore. Like, so Myrtle Beach, the way that she remembers it isn't actually a place you can go back to. It just exists in her memories, right? Because you go back to Myrtle Beach and it's different. Now it might look and smell the same, right? And you might have some similar things, but that time when what you're talking about isn't there anymore. Like for me, it's San Francisco. Like every time I've gone back to San Francisco since I've lived there, I'm like, the place I'm trying to get back to actually only lives in my memory.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Well, for sure with San Francisco.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That place at the time of recording, that city might not even be here anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about San Francisco.
But yeah, everything from
you know what I mean?
Going to eat breakfast. Yeah,
right. It's like
for sure. As a kid, I mean, it's just like, we went down to the pier and so there, the people are fishing and she remembers like watching the sharks and like I'm sure she stood up on the railing and looked down over. This time, Bodie was on the railing. And now listen, he's at the railing. He's like for him to fall over is almost impossible.
Yeah.
Almost. I mean, so almost have to like lift his legs, right?
He'll find a way.
She's like,
oh yeah, ground. Yeah.
Mama bear, yeah.
And I'm like, Ash, you used to be up on the same railing.
Right.
But
did you guys swim in the ocean? Did your kids swim?
A little bit. I kept being I was a bad dad. Like I was like I'll say this. Yes. I was super like nervous because there's so many sharks. Like dude. I feel like it's like Myrtle Beach, that water, it scares me. Because you can't really, I mean, but the kids started like bodyboarding, and they had a
like boogie boarding. Yeah.
What's the difference in boogie boarding and bodyboarding? Is it the same thing?
When you dance a little bit, when you boogie with
the
it,
kids were boogieing.
it's just a little.
Yeah, I don't know, a little bored, surf it in. But they had a blast, and so we kind of let them, but we never let them go past like
where most shark attack happens under 3 feet of water.
Understand that, but I was hoping there were enough other people out there that my kids
just swim
weren't gonna
faster.
get
You just got to be faster than that guy.
Okay, here's why I asked that. I just moved. I live in South Carolina. I stopped swimming in the ocean there because of the amount of gators that they find in the ocean.
Dude, I'll say this, guys.
The ocean.
I'll tell you
bro.
this,
You're
bro.
swimming. I don't even care about the sharks.
Yeah, as a native Floridian, I'm way more terrified of gators than I am sharks. I'm on Gulf Coast.
I don't like any.
You're just not meant like when you're in the ocean. You're thinking,
not thinking
I might
gator.
get stung by jellyfish, and there could be a shark around. A gator.
Here's
shows
the
up,
problem with gators,
big ones
bro.
out there.
Big ones. Just
Yeah,
show
dog.
up.
Yeah. Here's the problem with gators. Like, you get out of the water, they can get out of the water. You run from a shark, you just got to get to dry land.
Exactly.
You can't get to dry land with a gator, bub.
Why are there gators in the ocean?
Yeah. Well, Jesus better
feel
be
like
coming
it
back
just
soon,
happened.
man.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what I
it
mean?
doesn't surprise me, but anyway, it was a great
Glad
time.
they made it out alive.
Yes, my kids made it out.
So it sounds like your vacation was awesome.
It was a great time. Yeah, we had fun, and that's what I think. What made me the most happy is to see how happy she was.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like to see her joy and her nostalgia and her like stories and telling us all these things to the point where she was telling stories. I think the kids were like I was like happy, like, oh, you can tell more. The kids were like, Mom, really?
Yeah, can we just get ice cream?
Jiminy Christmas.
So I'm not trying to beat the gator.
Dude, we actually
gator?
believe you.
Gator on
looked it up?
Myrtle
believe
Beach.
you.
Yeah. Is that your gator, though? Do you own a gator?
I do have a gator in my backyard.
I want to say this though. There was one funny, just because that's enough on Myrtle Beach. But there was one. I guess they go at night. You go like sand crab hunting.
Yeah.
And I guess they're called sand fleas, but sand crab. They're like little crabs in there. When the wave comes in, as the wave goes out, you see this little bubble, like our little hole, and these little guys they go in the ground, like they can disappear like quickly, like it's gone, right? But you get this little like cage, like this little metal cage thing on the end of a pole, the flashlight, and when you see that hole, you scoop, and you get the little crab in the sand falls through the cage, and the little crab guy's sitting in there. Now, he doesn't have a shell, like I don't even know how to describe him. Some of you guys can help me out with this, and he's in there, and you just like, oh, cool, look at him, and then you let him go, and you look for another one. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of a unique thing.
Like catch a firefly.
So exactly. So we're coming back from the pier the one night, and it's like a mile walk, a little longer probably than we all anticipate too. And the kids are doing all this, but I'm just walking, and just kind of like we got to keep it moving, kids, because they're like kids. It's 9:30 at night, 10 o'clock, and they're like, got one, 2 steps, got one. I'm like, guys, like we're never going to make it home. And her parents were like, doing the same thing. Yes. Let's go. So anyway, at one point we were walking and I saw like a regular crab, like a big crab. And I was like, oh, crab, guys, come on. And they all walk over and he's like doing this at us.
Oh, hit the
pinches. And I'm like, kids, like, like they're kind of like, oh, cool. And they're like, they're messing with him a little bit, but just to try and like see him. And he's kind of backing up and doing this whole thing. And so we have it on film. Like we're filming it, and Bodie's next to me, right in front of the crab, and I'm kind of off to the side with a flashlight. And I don't know if I was filming or Ashley was filming, but they're watching, and the crab is like probably like 3 feet in front of them, right? And next thing you know, a big wave comes in, and pushes the crab right towards, and all you hear is. Kids are screaming and running. It was the greatest thing ever. No one got hit with the crab, but he came flying up. It was just one of the funniest things because everyone was like, look at this. And no one's paying attention to the wave.
Right.
And the wave comes and pushes it right to Bodie. And Bodie's like high stepping out of the water.
That fool ride the wave like Jack Sparrow on his boat sinking.
It was so funny. But anyway, it was just a really, really cool trip.
That's dope. Do you have a spot from your childhood that is like nostalgic like that?
We didn't go on vacation.
No, not like it didn't have to be a vacation, but like a spot that like your high. I mean, you play a lot of sports in high school, like a high school gym or something. If you went back there, would there be like memories? Would it flood? Or a spot or something that you want to show the kids one day that you haven't made it back?
Showing me how she grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
Done that. I don't know. Not really.
Anything with alligators or crabs that you want to?
Alligators in the Allegheny.
Dude,
if there's an alligator,
I have legit nightmares about the gators.
Well, you have a gator in your backyard.
Yeah, with no fence.
Yeah, that's.
It was the number one when I moved to.
How big is that gator?
What are we doing?
Do you have a dog?
We get multiple gators, but
did you have a dog?
No, I don't have a dog. I have kids.
Yeah, much more important.
And you've seen that video. You've seen that. Yeah, we have a new bunny. But you see the videos of the gators scaling the fences?
Dog, listen, man.
Oh, yeah, you're from Florida.
But we would get baby ones in our pools and like turtles, which crazy turtle story.
Turtle story.
You've been counting a lot of reptiles lately.
Yeah.
You have a crazy turtle story?
Yeah, brother. He manhandled. Well, he secured the perimeter. Let's just put it like that. But yeah, dude, they're the most terrifying. Alligators are terrifying, bro.
Yeah, I have nightmares about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. And then the last thing that I would like to talk about that we haven't, since we haven't seen anybody in a while, is probably the coolest thing that's happened since we have gotten together was on Friday, my oldest son, Benjamin, decided to get baptized.
Yeah, buddy.
And so it was at our farm, at the pond at our farm. And it was just, he made the decision. And he's kind of been mentored a little bit by an awesome young man whose name is Zach. And Zach is the son of a guy that kind of has mentored me, Dr. Tim. And so Dr. Tim actually baptized me in 2018 when I decided to get baptized. I got baptized as a kid, but as an adult, I never made the decision myself. Mm-hmm. So in 2018, I decided to get baptized. And so Dr. Tim and I had developed a great relationship, and I asked him if he'd do it, and he did it at my dad's pond. My dad was in the water with me. And so Benjamin decided to get baptized. And we're like, awesome, let's do it. What do you want to do? He goes, I don't want to do it at church, like in front of you. I want to do it at the farm, at the pond. Awesome, dude. We're like, well, we're here to support you. And he said, do you know who you would want to baptize you? And he goes, I want Zach. So Zach's dad baptized me with my dad in the water, and Zach, Tim's son, baptized Benjamin with me in the water. So he made a list of the people he wanted to be there, kind of a small, personal, private list. And I said, sure. I said, you got it, but you got to ask the dads to be there. Obviously, the whole family's going to come, but you have to go up. And so I made him go up to Spence and our other people in our small group and our close friends, our small village that we have. And he went to the dads and said, I'm getting baptized. Would love for you to be there. Would you be there? And we had, to the credit of our small group, our family, our village, whatever you want to call them, we had one guy come back from a vacation, one family postpone a vacation. Like it wasn't a let me see, it was a yes, when is it?
Wow.
Not one, it was a yes. Everybody was like, whatever, absolutely, we'll be there. And so it really just meant a lot to him, it meant a lot to me, to my family, to Ashley, to be there, to be a part of it, to be in the water with him was special. He actually spoke to everybody, said thank you, said what his faith meant to him, why he was doing it. And so it was just a really, really special day for all of us.
It's incredible, man.
Yeah.
I think, have you guys seen the movie The Forge? It just came out.
That's a new one that
the Kendrick brothers did.
I've not seen it.
It's incredible. But like having the whole point is that they mentored this young guy. But the idea that there was like multiple men surrounding Benjamin for that is just like.
Well, and that's what I made when I said a few words too. I don't need to get into all the private part of it, but like that's what I said to him. I wanted to thank everyone for coming and being a part of it, but I wanted him to look at who was there.
Yeah.
There were a lot of kids there. A lot of his friends were there, and peers and stuff. And I said, listen, this group right here they didn't hesitate. They're here for you, and they will always be here for you. This is a group that you should lean on when you need something. If you need prayer, you ask. If you need a hug, ask. If you just need someone to talk to, if you need someone to take you to do something, like this group will be there, just like we would be for someone else's. It's what a village does. It's what family does. It's what friends do. And so I wanted him to know that, if there's ever a time or something, if you can't, and I know he knows it with certain people, especially I think that he would feel comfortable coming to talk to you and certain people if he had to, right? But I want him to know that there's a group. If you ever don't feel comfortable come to talk to me, which I hope that never comes, like you always want you to be that for your kids, right?
Yeah.
But if there was ever a time that, man, you didn't feel comfortable about something, any of these people will be there. I mean, a couple of teachers there, and it just was special. And so we made a great day out of it.
Yeah,
we had all the kids come and do some fishing. So we caught catfish and did a catfish fry.
Oh, that's cool.
One of the girls caught a snapper. So that's what we're talking about, the turtle. We didn't even know we had a snapper in there.
Oh,
she caught a snapper, and so we had to grab it and get it out. So it was a really, really fun day. Did an awesome fish fry. Evan came and fried some fish and brisket, and so we just made a whole day out of it. So it was a beautiful, beautiful day.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you.
That says a lot about you as a dad.
Oh, thanks. Really proud
And the
of
fact
him.
that he got to do that with his dad, with him, bro.
It was special.
For dudes who didn't grow up with a dad, that's like,
Yeah.
I do think, man, it's so interesting because like in America, culturally, we don't have like a rite of passage.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like other countries, like, hey man, you gotta go kill a lion. If you don't come back, you wasn't ready. You know what I mean? Like we don't have that. And sitting there, like, I've always been so proud of the way you and Ashley have parented. I always tell you all the time, like I'm stealing so many things from you as a parent. You know, I'm like, take that, you know. I'm trying to whistle now. I don't have that. I'm over. I don't know. I start clapping. But it was one of those things, man. I've got this, you know, I've obviously known Jam as a little kid and watching him grow up. It's to the point now where like we have conversations. He's always been wildly intelligent, man. But I was just so proud of him because it was something that you guys, to your guys' credit, was like, hey man, this is a step in which you have to start taking that responsibility. For like, I want you to look these men in the eye and invite their families. I want you to do the responsibility of.
We didn't want him to take it lightly. This is not a light thing.
And it was, I mean, outside looking in, I was just so like proud, bro, especially because my kids are little and I'm looking at this village that, you know, by God's grace we've constructed. I'm like, man, this is what we get to raise our kids. Like we don't get this. I didn't have this growing up, you know?
So rare.
And so it was one of those things that even I'm talking to Jam now, like it's different. You know, we're changing our conversations. Like I'm talking to him like a young man, and there's an expectation out of that. And like, man, it's really cool to see that transition, man. And I'm very proud of not only the choice to make, but the man he's becoming. It was cool to display all that and celebrate that on that day, man.
You know what was probably the coolest thing, Jared? I'll have to show you the picture. He came out of the water, you know, and I should give him a hug, whatever. And he had like four kids. 4 boys?
4 or 5.
4 or 5 boys that were like the closest, like his close friends, right? That were there. Because there were a lot of kids there, but like his boys. They like, he saw the towel on him and they like came, like gave him a hug, right? And then next thing you know, we were kind of talking to other people and people were like kind of like, hey. And you looked and these 5 boys had their arms around each other praying.
Oh my God.
It wasn't like they went from hugging each other to like, I don't know. We don't even know. Like I didn't even ask them like who started it, what was said, but it was a clear prayer. It wasn't like they were like, oh, cool. And next thing you know, you've got like 5 dudes, arms around each other. Someone's like saying a prayer, doing something. And it was just like,
they were praying over, like because I tried to run over to get a picture. They were praying over him, and it was like 10, a group of 10-year-old boys, or
11 from 10 to 12 years old,
unprompted, man.
First, as a dad, that gets me like chills, but also, dude, that shows a community of a lot of like intentional fathers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's got to be a lot of intentional fathers to be developing that kind of environment where those boys are like stepping up and leading
on their own.
Just
on their own.
Crazy.
Somebody was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. But
dude, I read this, I think it's on the same page, but super fascinating article about the elephants. Not to take a weird turn, but
no, man, I was going to say, you guys want to talk about elephants next?
Elephants.
Okay. I promise it's related. There was this, what do you call it? National, like a national park or refuge or whatever they call those, where they set aside land for animals in South Africa. And they were trying to like migrate this group of elephants to a different part of the national park. And so they took all the babies and all the teenage elephants and the mom's elephants, but they didn't take any of the dads or the adult males, the bulls, because they're just too heavy to transport. So they take them over there, and all of a sudden the teenage boys go berserk, start killing rhinos, which is super out of character. They're super aggressive. They're acting a fool, going crazy. So they're like, what do we do? Do we like castrate these young males, which, do we intervene? They decided, one of the researchers was like, why don't we just bring back the bulls? So they brought the bulls back to the rest of the herd. I don't know if that's what whatever
the group of elephants.
The group of elephants.
Yeah.
And they said within hours, those boys immediately went right back to calming down. And they actually were measuring like testosterone levels and stuff in there. Immediately they like regulated within hours of bringing the dads back. I was like, dude, as a dad, that's bro. You can't like make comparisons directly to elephants, but I'm like, can you though? Can you though?
Well, it kind of like takes me and reminds me of like when I leave town, right? And Ashley's like, they won't listen to me. Mm-hmm. You know, I've been around, you know, I'd sit behind Coach Tomlin on the bus, and I would hear, and he'd be on the phone with like his wife, and then he'd be like, put them on, and they'd be like, if y'all don't listen to your mom when I get home, just, you know, and then he'd be like, boys just don't. He goes, man, wait till this was early, you know, wait till your kids get older, like they don't ever listen to you, you know, get home or whatever, and or you come home. And it's like all of a sudden everyone's behaved, and Ashley's like, oh, all of a sudden dad's home and you guys want to be on your best behavior. You weren't doing this. It's the same thing. It's like there's just something about a father figure that just creates, whether it's a like a dominating presence or whatever it is. I'm not saying that all like moms, but I'm just saying for mine, it's just something. There's something to that.
I think it's design, man. You know, I mean, we don't have to go like super deep into all that, but I think there is a design and infrastructure on that. I mean, we had talked about that long before, because if you guys don't know Jared, you know, if you're new here, this is Jared. He's here now. He has an organization called Dad Tired, and he has a very awesome, useful podcast. I would strongly encourage you to go check that out. It's phenomenal. But he also creates resources, man. And he describes self-proclaimed dad advocate, right? Not dad expert, but he also knows a lot. So if you pick his brain, he will break you off some knowledge too. But we were talking about that, man, like the presence of a father. Because so if you don't know a lot about Jared, I don't want to air your whole story, but he didn't grow up with one. My parents got divorced very young, right? And I was fortunate enough to have a great stepfather as I got older. But there was a lot of single mom years in there too, man. And I think it's about design. When you look at even the statistics, right, outside of the realm of faith in which we believe in, you know. There is a design that leads to flourishing in that. And I think it's a written law of nature proven by this elephant. You know, I think that's just another evidence to it. But that is that, man. You know, and that's like, to your point, no shade on the families that don't have that. You know, we're products of it. But
I grew up, bro, my single mom. You know, but I was raised by a single mom, and she was incredible. She did such a good job. There's so many single moms, like.
Yes.
Women are insane. Like I have such a deep spot for single moms and, you know, single parents, but moms are incredible. But my mom would say, like, you needed a dad. Like there was only so much I could teach you. Like you needed your dad around, and
not just being around, but being an intentional father, right? Like there's one thing about being around, but are you present?
Yeah.
Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you can
be there, but not
you're
there,
there, but not there. What say anybody can be a dad, but not anybody can be a father. You know, I hear you, but you've got to be there too. You've got to be present. You've got to be there to be, you know, like I you know, for instance, I'll tell, like I just said, when I tell Benjamin, like, I'm leaving, you're now the man of the house. It's your responsibility to look after your mom, look after your brother and sister. You're in charge. Mom's in charge, but you're in charge. I said, be a leader. Not being a leader doesn't mean being a boss. You're being a leader. You lead by example. You lead by doing what your mom says the first time, and then your brother and sister are going to follow you. And so that's always my thing to him. And then when he and I went to a golf thing, he pulled Bodie aside and was like, listen, now that Dad and I are gone, you're now the man of the house.
Oh, man.
You're in charge. Don't be a bully.
I love that, dude.
That's all. I mean,
it's just, that's what it just, it's cool to be able to do that and try and.
Have you guys heard of the saying? It's like, I'm going to butcher it. It's dads are the thermostat and moms are the thermometer of the family.
No, I've heard that in leadership, talking about like being a thermostat rather than a thermometer. Like be somebody who can control the temperature of the room.
Right. So when it comes to moms and dads, since we're on that subject, but like a dad would be the one who kind of a dad has the ability to set the tone of the family, and a mom has the ability to kind of like read, like, oh, something's off in our family.
Yes.
I found that to be true.
Yes. True.
Yeah. That's interesting, man.
If I'm grumpy, it affects the whole family.
Yeah. I've always used this when I've
yes.
And my wife immediately recognizes that like something's off.
I've always used this analogy when I've taught it to younger dudes. You have to be aware of the wake of your boat. Like
of the wake of the boat?
Of the wake of your boat. Like I think leaders, male or female, have a bigger wake. Men, especially in the role of a father, have the biggest wake in the family. It's just what it is. You start running around reckless. Everybody has the potential now to get their boat flipped behind you, right? So you have to be aware of the wake behind your boat. And so, that's interesting, man. When you talk about like you needed a dad, when your mom said that, like that's something as a father of 2 daughters, my wife and I have talked about. It's like I'm trying to set the bar so high for my daughters on what they're looking for in a husband that no moron can step over it. Like you're gonna have to outdo me, and you're not getting close, right? But I can't teach her how to be a woman.
Yeah,
that's got to come from Mama Bear, right? And I'm very blessed to marry out of my league, so I'm confident with that for my girls. But I think there is something prominent for that.
I'm sorry. Have you seen that? I mean, what you said was awesome.
Yeah.
It just triggered.
And also hilarious joke.
It just triggered the memory of. He's on Instagram. It's called like Girl Dad or something. But all his reels are like him doing something for his daughter. It's like him sitting having tea, like a tea, party with his daughter. And he's like taking my daughter on a date so your dusty son doesn't like snooze. It's like every video. It's always about your son. It's really funny.
I co-sign responsibility. I mean, you're talking about parenting. Like there's a responsibility as a dad to raise your son, but it's just a different responsibility about raising your daughter. Still a huge responsibility, just different.
You buy more ammo.
It's just
dude. The dad stuff. I can't watch anything with dads online. They're like instant cry, It just hits a nerve.
Well, you saw. I mean, so I hit the baptism thing. It's funny because like when I was in this, I was thinking about what I was going to say, before it, and I remember coming out of the shower, and Ashley I think was in the bathtub, and she was like, "Are you all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, why? Was you crying?" And I was like, "No." I said that. Remember the shampoo? I asked you to give me the baby. I asked you to give me the baby shampoo for my eyes. You got me the real shampoo, the adult stuff, and it got in my eyes. So I'm just like that. but I can't.
Are you crying? No,
I'm crying. What's crying?
It's not the shampoo I asked for. I wanted the Johnson & Johnson no tears. Yeah. You got me the men version.
Yeah, I'm over here with Dove in my eyes.
But it's the same thing. Like, but then I got out in the wall. Like I was just emotional thinking about. But then when I was saying something at the thing, I think I was so focused on everything else that I didn't have to get emotional. But I think there's something powerful about being emotional in front of your boys. I'm just saying it. Like,
you guys are both.
Don't be afraid to. Don't be afraid to let them see you hurt. Be tears of joy, tears of sadness, tears of pain. I think there's something powerful in that. I think there's a lesson in it. I think there's something that they can take from it, because if they never see it from their dad, then they're never going to show it either.
100%.
So I just think that it's okay. People, I think I grew up. I think probably a lot of people our generation, even older, grew up like, you don't cry, you don't see, don't let them see you cry. Sure, there's a place for that on the sport field, whatever. But I also think that there's a great place to show your kids it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to have feelings, because they're going to be in here anyway. Yeah. So why not let them out? Because if you don't let them out, they're going to build up, and it's going to be in.
They bleed out somewhere.
Yeah. It's coming out.
They
somewhere.
always bleed out somewhere.
100%.
Well, and I think it's super important, because as a father, you define what that is through your example. Mm-hmm. And so, like, your kids have the luxury of when, God willing, they become parents. They're like, oh, well, dads can feel and deal with it, and dads can ask for help, and because you've defined it through the example in which you've set through your life, and when they were little. And so, you guys have done a great job with that, man.
Dude, when we got to spend some time together, our families, for a few days, and the biggest thing I took away from that was I was telling my wife, like, you do such a good job at being strong and tender. Like, you came on my podcast and talked about that. Yeah. But dude, I'm not trying to like,
well, thank you,
toot your own horn over here, but you do really, really like your kids know the boundaries, and at the same time, you can tell they feel super, super loved. Did you guys see that story? The Titans coach, he just hired his dad as like the offensive coordinator.
Really?
Yeah.
Titans head coach. Is that what it is?
I think it's the Titans head coach.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
How does that go?
Yeah. Dad, what kind of play call is that, Dad? Son, don't you talk to me like that. Dad, I'm your boss. No, you're not coming up for Christmas.
You get grounded.
And do you
Guess
call
what?
him Dad
Mom,
like in the ears?
Mom is not, probably accidentally sometimes.
Right. I know.
You're like, hey, Dad,
Jim,
Randy.
no, it's Dad. It's not Jim, it's Dad.
You see the head coach just in the corner and timeout just with his calling plays.
Guess what?
Yeah.
Hey, I just called your mom. And you're guess who's not getting their special birthday dessert?
To a grown man.
What's wrong with you? That's awesome. I didn't know that. That's unreal.
How
I don't know how that would work.
How would that make you feel, man? Because I don't think we've seen that in the league. I know you've seen like maybe people play together or coach together, but not in that like power structure.
I don't, because I've been around a lot of coaches and I hear how they talk to each other, like from head coach to coordinators, coordinators to like coaches. Like, is he talking to his dad the way that I've heard coaches talk to their coordinators and vice versa? Like, I don't. That's amazing to me.
I've been wrestling with my son since he was like pretty much at the point where he's old enough, 3 years old and diapers were wrestling stuff. And he's 13 now. And we were wrestling the other day and he like legit choked me out. Like legit choked.
Hey, hope you guys enjoyed having Jared on the show. He's now no longer on the show.
Your son just leans
out
in,
by a 13-year-old.
just whispers in, remember this.
Bro, but dude,
Go night-night. Go night-night. Night-night, Dad. Night-night, Dad.
He does say that to me. He does say
Yeah.
night.
Did he get up and did he put his hand on your shoulders? Like, do you feel like you're in charge?
Yeah. Dude, but I was like, there was part of me, like, as I'm trying to regain blood flow to my brain, I'm like, I'm so proud of him. I'm like, there's a part of me that's like,
What a tight grip, son.
dude,
What a tight grip.
it's like,
Dad, it's time for you to go to bed now. And guess what? I'm having a bowl of ice
all
cream.
right. You guys took that the wrong way.
What are you
I'm
gonna
just
do
like,
about it now?
it's cool that I'm like, you're growing up. I think that's probably how the Titans coach feels.
Yeah.
Or the
Titans dad.
The Titans
coach dad.
Yeah. Dad
Oh my
coach.
Yeah.
I'm proud of his boy.
6 degrees of Kevin. Well, dude,
funny.
speaking of Titans, man, like, I feel like that they were playing against the Bears today, which was a highly touted game because of the first round pick. But we had an opportunity to watch a handful of the games here as we were setting up. I thought that one was really exciting, but it didn't end well. I think a couple poor decisions, man. The thing that's interesting to me, man, without really harping on any quarterback in specific, is as we're watching all of these games, and I'll preface it by saying I know it's week 1. It did feel like offenses in general kind of struggled today. It felt like, I know you're establishing a rhythm, but quarterbacks maybe we're trying to find that, more so than usual. What do you think? Like, did you notice that? And what do you think that?
For sure. And I like how you said it though. It's week 1, so you're going to get some of that anyway.
Right.
But I thought just watching it, and again, we're watching just kind of the red zone. We're kind of like, I don't know all the details, but it just felt like the quarterback play wasn't great today for the most part. And there probably were some, players that did good, but I thought offenses were a little bit off. And I think if you were to ask me why, hey Ben, I have to know why. Give me your thoughts. I would say a lot of that happens because of the lack of preseason. Guys aren't playing in the preseason, and so they're going out there, and this is their first action. And now you're Kirk Cousins, and you're out there for the first time after an injury, which I get. Maybe that's why he didn't play. I'm just using him because I'm going to say, and now you're going against TJ Watt.
Yeah.
Like, of course, there's going to be some difference, but you're watching some guys that just, some big money quarterbacks that got paid a lot of money that just weren't really on. And and it's not just them. The offense wasn't there. And, when you used to have 4 preseason games, your starters would play like maybe one series in the first one, play a quarter and a little bit of change in the second. Third one, they might play a whole half, and maybe, depending on how many plays you got, maybe the first series of the second half, and then not play in the fourth. Well, now there's only 3. Some guys haven't played at all. There's some quarterbacks that haven't, and other positions that haven't touched the field. Now, it's different when you're a defensive guy. Like, I wouldn't put TJ Watt out there either. I wouldn't put Cam as he's getting older, and Minkah and some of these guys. But you almost like to get hit as a quarterback. You like to get into a flow and a feel of it. And when you don't do that, and I get it's you had a game and this, that, and the other, but that would be, if you were to say, Ben, give me one reason why you think offenses and teams struggle a little bit this week.
Yeah,
I'd say lack of preseason, lack of playing in the preseason, and you might be okay with that. Teams might be like, you know what, we're willing to take that chance that we're going to squeak out a win in week 1, 2, or 3, and protect our guys. But like I said, there were some big time quarterbacks that got paid a lot of money that didn't play very well.
Yeah,
and what's that?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, big time contracts. I mean, you've got Dak Prescott signing the richest deal. I mean, I think 60 a year. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Good for him.
Yeah, congrats, Dak.
I mean,
yeah.
Jerry Jones has handed it out. But in saying that, Patrick Mahomes should have signed a deal, and in his contract it should say every time a quarterback gets more money than me, I get to go
above them.
A new deal.
Yes.
I mean, he's the dude. I mean, he is so good.
I was going to ask you, I really want to hear about that game and that last play. Mahomes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We'll dive into that.
Yes.
Before
we
got
got to talk
I
about
got to
that.
pee so bad.
Yeah.
So
Go.
keep going on the contract thing because that's
Go.
very interesting.
He always gets a little wiggly over there when he's got
Again, the old jitters.
He's like a kid. He gets a little wiggly. I think it's so important for guys to get into a rhythm as a quarterback. And it's going to take some time for some guys, and we'll see guys bounce back. I'm not saying these guys are not deserving, but congrats to Dak. I think, I talk about Patrick. I think he's still the best in the business. That game, the opener this year was unbelievable. Just what you saw.
Chiefs Ravens.
Chiefs Ravens. Sorry,
Thursday
that's
night.
going back to that opener on Thursday night. You see why the 2-time defending champs are who they are. I really thought it was going to be overreaction Friday after that game.
Yeah,
I did think Baltimore was going to win that. I thought people were going to say, "Oh, the Chiefs runs over, and now Baltimore is like this, that, and the other." Well, sure enough, the Chiefs were dominant against a really good Ravens team. I thought Patrick was Patrick. I mean, he's he had that one interception that is a little uncharacteristic of him, but you live with it because he makes so many great plays. As I talked about earlier, I think when he scrambles, his eyes are always downfield, which is why big plays happen. Lamar is just an absolute freak show when he gets the ball. I mean, just what he does is unbelievable. I'm not going to harp too much on that game, but it was fun to watch the end of that game, to watch Lamar take him down the field, the plays that were happening, everything that happened, because he is just – how do you defend him? I mean, if he decides at the last minute to just run, he just runs, and there's nothing you can do.
I have no idea. Well, and the hard part, too, other than his freakish athletic ability, is like it doesn't matter where he's looking.
Yeah.
Because you could try to, as a linebacker, try to read his eyes. He might just throw it the other way and complete that pass. It doesn't matter. Like it absolutely doesn't matter.
Else. I will say this as I kind of close on that game. At the end of that game, Lamar is an unbelievable guy that he is the league MVP for a reason.
Yeah.
He is a dude, and he is a really good dude. He can play the game and do some electric things. He missed 2 throws at the end of that game on that last drive. The first one to the left corner, he put too much air on it. I would call that a layup, a contested layup, but a layup. Like that's one that an MVP should and could and makes most of the time. He makes that.
A layup definitely for a guy like that.
For a guy like that, of his caliber, of the MVP caliber that he is, that's a throw that I think he would even tell you he probably should have made. Come back the next play, and he's got a guy wide open, and he missed him. Again, you're going to miss layups sometimes, but he kind of missed 2 in a row there.
Yeah.
Now, the next throw, that's an MVP throw. Put it up high, and we talk all the time about a game of inches. That guy's toe came down with less than an inch out of bounds. That was now that's MVP throw. That's the throw that you expect him to make, and he made. But it doesn't come to that play if he hits the one right open the back of the end zone. And I know they're going to go for 2 because I know Coach Harbaugh, and I really would have loved to have seen what would have happened when they went for 2.
Yeah,
it would have been fun to watch. But that being said, there's a reason that Patrick Mahomes is who Patrick Mahomes is. Mm-hmm. He's an absolute stud. And good for him.
Yeah, that game was absolutely incredible.
And watch out NFL because they seem to have a lot of weapons.
Yeah, I remember. So I was texting you during that game, and the thing that stood out to me was the absolute speed of that offense. And they didn't even have Hollywood Brown out there.
It was unbelievable.
You know what I mean?
It's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, it was. I think a little bit. I like watching Patrick play because it's just fun to watch.
It's fun.
As a fan of a team that's not the Chiefs, you always want them to lose a little bit when they keep going back to back to back to back to back. But
Patrick is a stud. So is Andy Reid.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole...
Travis Kelce's unreal. I mean, Juju's back there. I'd like to see Juju do well.
I know he dropped that one ball. I
know, dude. I was like, Ju. I know, dude. Always room for him. But Pacheco's an animal. But yeah, it's crazy, man. It's a fun start to the football season, man.
1-0 Steelers.
It is wild.
It's great to be a fan. It's great to be a fan.
One of us.
Welcome.
One of us.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a full, whatever the thickest, heaviest jacket is. It's too cold here.
Yeah, it is 70 degrees outside there, folks. I picked up Jared from the airport, and it was probably the most beautiful day.
It was freezing
in Pittsburgh. It might have been 71 degrees.
No.
Dog.
Bro.
What's it right now?
It was probably 68, 9.
Okay, so 71. And he gets in the car and goes, man, I'm glad you got your heat on, bro.
He's going to have a hard time, folks.
Got some thin blood. But we appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We have a lot of cool stuff that we're trying to do this year with football. And like I said, in week 1 of season 3, we're going to try to get this live stream back, and we'll keep you posted on what games we're going to do that. We're not going to do that for every game of the year, but we're going to pick some that fit with our schedule that we think are exciting matchups. And we're going to do that as well. We're going to roll that out in a way for you guys to jump in and watch the game with us. Other than that, I do want to plug again Jared's podcast. It's a phenomenal resource. If you're a dad out there listening, go check it out. It's called Dad Tired. I'll link it below. Beyond that, we're excited for week 2. We got a lot of stuff going on. We appreciate you more than you know, and we will see you guys next time.